Hey guys, welcome back to the Gift of the Gab. I'm your host Precious, and I'm with.
Hi, I'm Reverend Pippa White from the Church of England.
And Pippa is here today to basically tell us what it's like to be a female priest in a male-dominated world. So Pippa, I have a segment on my show where basically I do change my view, which is 60 seconds. I bring up a misconception that I've seen online, and then from there you have 60 seconds to change my view on it and persuade me to either believe you or I'll say, girl, it's not giving what it's supposed to give. So today's change my view is, can women be priests and why? You have 60 seconds on the clock. Starting now.
Okay, so can women be priests
and why? Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I'd say I am one.
Yeah.
So yes. Yeah. I think going off like lived experience, right? I feel a really true calling to the priesthood. So do a lot of women. One of the favourite things people like to post on my videos is, greetings from Paul, because they're referring to those passages in Paul's letters which talk about how women should be silent, submissive in church, To that, I would say those are one side of a conversation. They are very specific to their context. And actually, we have lots of other times where Paul is supporting the ministry of women. So I would say stop using those Bible verses for your own arguments as using them as like thumping verses. And also, I think you just look at the good deeds women are doing in the church. How am I doing for time?
You have 1 second, girl. But honestly, I agree with you. First of all, I already agreed. Like, I was already on the side of women should be priests because I feel like we need different perspectives. Mm-hmm. And as you said, there is very much influential people in the Bible. There's Mary. There's Martha.
Yeah.
There's Mary.
There's so many Marys.
There's so many Marys. There's Elizabeth. Like, there's so many crucial people in the Bible that God literally leaned on. And even when he died, who was the people that found him in the tomb?
Apostles to the apostles.
Yeah, because they were like, where is Jesus? Where is she? The woman knew. The woman knew that God was like... So I just feel like, of course we need female priests in the church. And I don't know why it's taking so long for the church to it's 2024. Come on now. Get some women in there. Maybe then people will come to church, okay? Like, representation matters.
It does, though. It genuinely does. Yeah.
Representation really matters and we need it. So, how did you get into being a priest? What made you want to be a priest? It's not a conventional job. I hear people say, I want to be a priest, Mum.
When I grow up, I'm going to be a priest.
Yeah. How did you get into this world?
Yeah, so I wasn't brought up particularly churchy.
Okay.
So I'm the youngest of 4 kids. None of us were baptised when we were babies. Mum and Dad thought, no, you need to decide for yourselves if that's something you want.
I love that. No, I actually love that.
Yeah.
I really am. I'm all for parents not pushing their own beliefs onto their kids.
Yeah, right? And so, because this is it. So my dad was raised Catholic and had a terrible time of it. And I think he basically thought, I'm not going to do that to my own kids.
Yeah.
So, but what did happen, because I grew up in a very small village in Norfolk, so no people about, we went to church Christmas and Easter so we could understand why it was, why we're celebrating these things, what's the story behind them. And I remember actually really feeling at home, like literally in the village church. It felt like I was in my own sitting room and I was like, this is quite nice. But again, we're talking less than 50 people to the village, and like that doesn't really make for a thriving church community. Yeah. So I just kind of ignored it until I got to uni. And then I was like, maybe I should like give church a go. Went to the chapel at Keele on campus, and there were all these young people and they were all having fun in church and they were doing like all these really good deeds. And I was like, it doesn't have to be sat bored in a cold church listening. Yeah. Like it can actually be vibrant. Fun. So I was like, interesting. So then I was kind of going to church, kind of not. It was like if I wake up on time on a Sunday, I might go.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Been there, done that, girl.
If I've got a better offer, I might not. Kind of thing. Anyway, so then the tipping point was I was walking down the road with my boyfriend at the time, and we were talking about what I wanted to do for a living, because I did history at uni and I didn't want to be a history teacher. I didn't want to work in the library. Yeah. So what am I going to do? And we talked it through and like just nothing was really coming.
Yeah.
And then we'd got to a ridiculous point of the conversation. He was like, oh, you could be an engineer. And I was like, oh, I could be an astronaut. He was like, oh, you could be a plumber. And I was like, oh, I could be a vicar. And there was this really weird click where I was like, why did I say that?
Mm-hmm.
And then once the words were out, I couldn't take them back.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, maybe there is actually something in this. So I was like, well, I should probably start actually going to church and taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, first step. Yeah, and it just, I always describe it like a fish hook. You can kind of pull away from the idea, but something will keep dragging you back.
Yeah.
And for ages, I was like, no, I don't want to be a vicar. Like, that's the most boring job in the world.
Yeah.
But I just kept getting pulled back, and I was like, okay, I've got to stop fighting this.
And I love that for you. I really am happy that you stay true to yourself.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, society kind of does bash Christianity and Jesus. And we have to always fight for, compared to, like, other religions, I know that Christianity is not taken as serious.
I think it's because we're so immersed in it, though. So, like, everyone, like, makes jokes about, like, virgin births and stuff like that. Because, like, it's the water we swim in.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really see it as what it used to be.
Yeah. And it really does upset me because I'm like, if you read the Bible, the people back in the day, they took that seriously. Like, they were holding the cross.
Yeah.
Like, they were holding the cross like Jesus was holding the cross. Like, like, they weren't playing. Like, the Pharisees, even though, like, they were bad and they were judgy, they really took the laws of the Old Testament seriously. They were like, if you work on the Sabbath, you go in the jail. Like, you adulterer, you go in the jail. You might even die. Like, you might even die. But like, I don't know what's happened between that time period and this time period, but it's been lost. Like, Christianity isn't what it used to be. And I guess, yes, we've grown as a society, but it really hurts me when people make jokes about Jesus. Like, sometimes I see TikToks and people are like, Jesus is like, and I'm like, is this not blasphemy?
Yeah. Well, I think it's quite a Western thing. Like, there are still martyrs today. It's just not happening here.
Yeah. And I guess that's what we need to see as Christians. We need to see that representation, and we need to see, okay, people are taking this religion seriously. Yeah. We can't, it's not all fun and games, guys, because when we meet him, when Judgment Day comes, when the reckoning hits, we can't play about. So I would like to know, what is, like, your day-to-day life as a vicar? Like, what do you do? Like, is it church, or is there breaks? Do you even have time to pee and eat? Like, is it like a normal 9 to 5, or is it like an 8 till 10? Like,
so this is one thing I absolutely love, is no one day is the same. And that I love, because I used to be a waitress. Yeah. And I just hated the fact that every day was the same. You were doing the same in and out. It was like Groundhog Day. So for my day-to-day, so you always start with morning prayer. Okay. So that takes like 20 minutes. The Church of England. There is an app on your phone, download it. Yeah. And so that takes about 20 minutes, and then it's just whatever you've got in the diary. So some days I will be in our church schools. Yeah. Doing worship with, like, the little kids and doing, like, little sermons for them and stuff like that. I will go into nursing homes for old people. I usually take my dog. Oh. They love my dog. We'll do home communion for them. Or stuff like this. I mean, and then obviously funerals, weddings, baptisms. Okay, I'll be doing those. I'll be prepping for those.
Which one out of those do you find the most stressful?
Most stressful?
Weddings.
Weddings.
I was going to say funeral.
No, weddings are so
because
stressful.
I would feel like the funeral, if I say something bad, like, that's, the person's dead.
Yeah.
Like, funeral, wedding, you can, like, you know, you can kind of like laugh it off, but this is a somber event. And if you say one bad joke, like, ooh, you don't know what crowd you messing with.
It's different kinds of stressful. So funerals are stressful because you get one shot. Yeah. So you have to be on it. You have to make sure you're really switched on. Yeah. Stuff like that. And also sometimes, like, I have to make sure I'm not crying as well when I'm doing a funeral, because they are sad.
Do you, also, quick question, so sorry. Go. Do you find that, like, is it more people that are non-religious that will still request a priest than a religious person?
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Because that makes me think, you don't even believe in God. What do you think this person's going to do for you? Like, I love it though.
It's really interesting though that people still want religious funerals. And I think, it's a weird thing to say, I think it's because we do it so well. Yeah. We do a good funeral.
Yeah, we know how to do a funeral, at least, you know.
But then if you go to, like, a humanist funeral...
Oh, I've never been to that. What is that?
So it's very strict. You're not allowed any religious content. Ooh. So you can't have hymns or anything. So they're very quick. So it's...
Oh, wow. So what do they say? Oh, wait, would you know?
No really know.
Would they?
Yeah.
I've never even heard of a humanist friend. I didn't know that was a thing.
So it's a thing, yeah. So funerals are stressful, but then weddings, I think it's because weddings are a legal thing because we're the state church. So I'm very aware that if I get something wrong, that means their wedding is not legally effective, right?
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's,
that's serious.
You've got to make, and literally I'm here as like a 28-year-old girl with my Starbucks being like, okay, let's just really check this marriage document, because if not,
oh my gosh,
it's not going to
so
work.
You even have to check that the documents that they bring to you guys, and have to make sure that everything is like to the book.
We have to do identity checks.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Have you ever had like a wedding that hasn't even been, you couldn't even conduct because it wasn't by the book? You don't have to say like who.
Confidentiality issues. No, I've never had anything like that. I have heard horror stories of, so do you know reading the banns?
Yeah.
So like before we can marry someone, we have to announce 3 times that these people are going to get married in this church. It's an old legal thing. And I heard a horror story of a vicar who realised on the day of the wedding, they'd only done it twice, not 3 times.
Oh.
So he could not marry them and had to go to them on their wedding day and say, I'm really sorry, I forgot to do it.
You can't even do like a do-over?
Mm-mm. Stressful.
Wow.
Weddings are so stressful.
Wait, do you feel distress from God or distress from everyone? Like, is it more of a physical stress or is it like a...
No, like, this is the thing. Like, I know it is stress I'm putting on myself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. Girl. I would have really thought the funeral because one and done, like, that's serious. Wow, but I didn't know that a priest day was so, like, diverse. I literally thought... me being completely like ignorant here, I just literally thought it was a church, and then you plan for church, and then you keep planning all, like you have like weekly, like in like weekday church services. I just thought church.
And to be fair, that's what a lot of people think, because if they're trying to find me, they'll just come to church. And I'm like, but I'm only really there Sunday. Well, on Sundays. The rest of the week I'm out and about in the community doing stuff. But people think.
Do you have your own downtime? Like, do you still go to the cinema? Do you eat out? Are you allowed to do those things outside of church?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So this is something why I really like it, is because you make your own diary, right?
Right.
Which means actually I can go like horse riding during the day.
Okay.
I can go do my hobbies. I can go to the gym when it's quiet because I can make it on my own schedule.
Yeah.
So like there are perks. Yeah.
Okay. Because I used to always think about that. I was like, how do y'all work? Like, what's you?
Yeah.
But then like, how do you also live? Because you have to pay for these things.
Yes.
How do you like?
And this is a big question, right? People want to know how much vicars make.
Yeah, because even on Google, there ain't no clear answer.
Yeah. Do you want? I will tell you how much I make if it helps. So
if you're okay with that, girl, because I want to know all the tea. Yeah.
Of course. So I'm trying to think. So at the beginning of 2022, when I first became a reverend, I was earning just under 26,000.
Okay, that's good.
Well, hang on, because of like cost of living and loads of stuff like that. So I now earn just under 29,000.
Okay.
But don't forget, I get the house for free.
Oh right, so that's the perk.
That's the perk.
Maybe I need to become a vicar because in this cozy live, I need a house.
I mean, if you can
for
preach,
free.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So what other perks do you guys get?
So the church pays for my water bill, my council tax.
Well, look at that. No way.
I don't know why it's saying.
I don't know why I'm getting so excited, because this should be stuff that we should just be having.
Maybe it's a calling. I mean,
I think I just can't believe I'm excited about your bills being free, because society bills should just be like reasonable price.
And like, so this crazy. Is the thing, isn't it? Like with the cost of living crisis going on, it means actually we can then, we've got more headspace to help the people who need the help, rather than being like, how am I going to afford my own bills?
Literally. Yeah. So the church basically covers your housing and your bills. I
pay my gas and electricity and Wi-Fi.
Okay. Yeah. And then if you had like car, for instance, you would pay that.
Yeah, I pay my own car. And stuff,
okay, but girl, that's still a good perk, because 9 to 5, what, free travel?
Yeah.
And even that, like, it's still like I have to pay it. Like, girl, you have some good perks. Mm-hmm. If you want to be a vicar, hit Pippa up.
Literally email me.
Email Pippa and she'll get you there, because I'm starting to rethink my life choices. I am. And so, okay, so you said that you make money, but who gives that money?
Okay. So that comes from the central church. So what happens in your parish church, there's a collection on Sundays, right?
Yeah.
And then that gets sent off. What the church also has is investments in stocks and shares.
Right.
The Church of England is really quite asset rich. So we're talking like land and housing and property. Stuff like this will bring in money. Controversial,
where did they
right?
get that money to get the asset, the land and the house? Where?
It's
who's
historic.
attending this church?
Yeah.
Wait, so you talk about like the Pope? Is that a whole different?
That's
okay.
They're a different flavour.
Okay.
But so the Church of England is about coming on for 600 years old.
Yeah.
So again, it started in a time where the church was a very powerful
yes.
thing.
Yeah.
And actually that meant
Is this during like the Roman Empire?
A bit after.
Okay.
So yeah, anyway, so then we have all of that money in a pool, and then that pays for like my salary.
Okay.
And stuff like that. Yeah, so it's a bit of a melting pot.
Has that ever caused tension? Like, do you know what other vicars are getting, and are you like, ooh, you're getting a bit more than me? Like, how come we both all pray to the same God?
Yeah. I think it is. Well, the thing is, one of those things is, as you climb the ladder in the church, you make more money, right?
Right.
But you also get way more responsibility.
Yeah.
Stress is much more. So I quite enjoy being on the bottom rung.
But I'm so shocked because you're a vicar. You're actually preaching, like you're doing Sunday service, and I'm shocked that you're not getting as much. I feel like preaching should get more. Like, you know, you're actually spreading the gospel, and that's what God says. We be disciples. Yeah. And it's like, why aren't you? I know obviously we don't praise God for monetary gains and stuff, but I'm still like, I'm actually preaching, okay? Like, I read the Bible, I'm studying the Bible, I'm spreading the word, and I'm not getting...
And I think there is a bit of a tension where people, like, we all sort of, you know, joke about being on the coal face, right?
Yeah.
Like, we are the people on the ground helping people for funerals, stuff like that. And then sometimes when, like, the central church is like, oh, yeah, we should be doing this, and, like, oh, yeah, you should be going out and, like, doing this initiative, we're like, okay, but we're really busy already, kind of thing. So, but, I mean, usually it's not nasty. It's just, I mean, it's like any institution.
Yeah, very much. You just do stuff that isn't part of the job role, but you just do it anyways.
Yeah, you just got to do it. It gets it done.
Okay, well, guys, I've learned a lot. I hope y'all learning and taking some notes. Like, if you want to be a vicar, again, hit Pippa up. So, what is like the weirdest confession someone has ever said to you? Like, what's the weirdest, something you wouldn't even expect? You're like, girl, you did that? like, how do you still act serious? Even with the confession, how did you deal with that? Because I know if someone told me a mad confession, the straight face, I can't keep it. I might judge.
You honestly, like, this job teaches you such a good poker face.
Yeah,
like you learn it so quickly. I think so. For a lot of Church of England churches, you don't have individual confession. So like the Forgive Me, Father, for higher sin thing. I mean, some do, but like a lot of them don't. But you still do get quite weird questions. Yeah, and I think it's because there's so much mystery shrouded over like priests and the church and stuff like that. Like, I get why people want to like peek behind the curtains and be like, what's going on here? But
you haven't had like crazy ones that you've been like, whoa, you need help. Like, oh girl, even God,
I need to signpost you. No, well, because this is the thing, because one thing I always get asked is, what if someone confesses something illegal to you, like you've committed a crime?
What do you do then?
Well, I've never had one, and I'm a bit like, come on,
someone, man, commit a crime and confess.
There's two different ways you can do it. So for Roman Catholic priests, I think, emphasis on think, they just have to keep it secret. Wow. For us, there's kind of two ways you can go about it. So say you come up to me and you're like, I've murdered someone. And I've asked, have you gone to the police? You say no. I can say, well, I'm not going to absolve you until you've gone to the police. Like, you have to go do the right thing. Or one thing is, if someone comes up to you, say, I want a confession, you just start it off by saying, that's fine, but if you tell me that you've committed any crimes, I feel bound to take it to the police. So, like, there's
ways around it.
Exactly.
And do people usually still tell the confession?
Let's find out. I'm waiting on the day for my first confession.
Girl, when you come back to the pod one day, when that happens, I'll be right here waiting to hear
I'll ring you. Yeah.
So this is a question from my friend. How do you handle the judgment from people because you are a female priest?
Ooh, that is a good question. When my TikToks first started coming out and I was getting all of those comments of like greetings from Paul, like, I did not deal with it well, I'll be honest. I just look at them and cry and I'd be like, oh, okay. And it's quite hard to not get really defensive.
Yeah.
And think, well, you're wrong and I'm right, because that's not at all Christ-like, is it?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm really sorry, I've forgotten the original question. So I got distracted.
No. It's how do you handle the judgment from people?
Handle the judgment,
because
right?
You're a female priest. Do you even think people take you seriously?
Well, and I think usually, actually, in real life, day to day, people are really happy.
Yeah.
They think it's quite a good thing that I'm a priest.
Yeah.
And they, particularly because I'm young as well, they get quite excited because they're like, okay, well, this is, you know, like a new part of the church that's developing and evolving, right? So actually, a lot of the times it's really good judgment. People are really happy to see me there. I think, and this is kind of a problem across the Church of England. So if you are a man who wants to be a priest but think women shouldn't be priests, you can still be a vicar in the Church of England. And so I know my friends have had problems of they walk into a room and then they suddenly realise all the vicars in that room are priests like that and think she shouldn't be there. And that's just quite hard because it's a bit, you kind of open a door and you're like, well, is this going to be a safe space?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
not? Like, are you guys going to be quite hostile or will I be fine?
And also, what is your reasoning? Because some people don't even have a good reason to back up why they think that.
One of my old tutors, if she came across someone who didn't think she should be a priest because she's a woman, she would say, okay, is your reasoning based on scripture? Okay, no, it's not. Okay, is it based on tradition? Like, you know, we've always had male priests, And she'd say, or is it because you're a bigot?
Yeah. And I love that. That's how you need to approach them.
Iconic, yeah. So,
because it's always the last two. It's either tradition or you're just a bigot.
Yeah.
Because in scripture, it doesn't even say you can't have a female priest.
It's hard because what describes a priest is written in the male pronoun. So it's saying, oh, he should do this, he should do that. But that was just a style of writing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I don't think, as long as you're actually preaching the word, I don't think Jesus has a problem.
If you're spreading love.
Literally. That's the main thing to take away the Bible, is just to spread love. Yeah. And like, just be patient and bring people to Christ. Yeah. It don't matter what you are.
Literally.
Like, that's all he wants. Yeah. So my question is, like, being a priest, it might limit your dating pool. I'm just being honest. Being a priest, so how do you navigate being single? Like, how do you even navigate dating in a not so Christian society?
Yeah, it's hard. It is tricky. So I do have Hinge.
Okay. No, girl. You see, this was not on my. This was a highlight. I did not expect that.
Can I get like sponsorship Hinge? Hinge. You, like, send me some merch.
Yeah, help us. Yeah. Help us. We all want to date.
Literally. And so what I do on my profile is I just put, you know, workplace Church of England.
Yeah.
So I don't put I'm
that
a
you're
priest.
A priest. Yeah.
But then obviously when you're in the chatting stage, people are like, oh, so what do you do for, you know, a living? And that's when I'll say I'm a priest. Yeah. A lot of the time, men will just ghost at that point. But I get it.
Do you know what? At the same time, I'm happy that you ghosted, because you're not God. You're not God ordained. Like, you're not from God.
And I think it's just hard because like some people I know just won't say that they are priests, and then they'll kind of like reveal it a bit later. But then I'm thinking, oh, that's quite deceptive. That's quite like, you're kind of wasting everyone's time.
Yeah, exactly. And you do want a man of God at the end of the day. So it's like, or are you open to someone who isn't as gung, or would you want someone that's equally yoked as you?
I think so. I have dated a priest before. Okay,
how was that, girl? What did I date a priest?
I'm going to message him after this to be like, by the way, you came up in a podcast. And that...
Is it the dating rules? I know I'm like acting like dating for you might be different, but I'm just, because I know obviously you're going to adhere to the book. Yeah. So there's things you're not going to want to do, or you can't even do.
And I think that is a big thing of why the men dip, is because they think, okay, well, there's not going to be like any cheeky shagging here. And it's a bit like,
But then also there's more to life than shagging, people. Get a grip. Touch some grass. Okay? You don't just shag everybody that you meet.
So, it's a thing. And so when I was dating that priest, it was really nice that we could just talk. So I would message him being like, I've just done a funeral today, and he would immediately get state of mind I was in, like how much energy I'd have.
Yeah.
And that was really nice. But then the hard part about that is you are both tied to your places, right? I'm tied to my parish, he was tied to his parish.
So you can't even like mix and mingle.
Well, like, because you're physically
in that chat.
Yeah.
So you need someone that's close to you as well. So there's logistics in this as well,
literally,
girl.
The traveling. Yeah.
But what if you was like attracted to the same sex? How do you even navigate that?
So in the Church of England, you can be a gay priest.
Okay. I love that. The Church of England is woke. No, the Church of England, we don't speak enough about you.
If you want woke, go Church in Wales because Yeah. Because so in the Church of England, the official guidelines are you can be a gay priest, but your relationship should be celibate.
Okay.
Whereas in the Church in Wales, you can be in a relationship which is sexual. Okay. If you're a gay priest.
Look at Wales. So shag all you want. Do what you gotta do, but come to the Lord at the end of the day.
we just want eternal salvation. That's all we want.
That's all we want. We don't care what you do behind closed doors. But yeah, I love the Church of Wales might see me. I might have to go over there. Do you know what I mean? Like, they sound woke.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess what you're trying to say in a nutshell is dating as a priest is like dating as a normal person. It's hard.
It's hard.
And Hinge is not the place. But Hinge has always had a bit of a reputation of just... I feel like Hinge just has weird people on it.
But less weird than Bumble, don't you think?
Oh, well, are we even... Like, something, I heard that we're not even...
Bumble's cancelled,
yeah,
isn't it?
we've cancelled Bumble
mind,
anyways.
Who cares about Bumble?
Bumble who? Bumble where? We don't want you.
Nah, gone.
So, what moment did you have that made you realise that, okay, God is real?
Oh, that is a good one. I don't think there was like one big road to Emmaus sitch. I think growing up, I would have been one of those people who would have said, oh, I'm not religious, but I think there's a God. Like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am aware my faith is one of lots of little moments.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes if you're someone like me where your faith is made up of lots of little things, it can feel really underwhelming when someone's telling you about like that moment they met Christ, or like that moment they were like, no, I really need to give my life to God.
Like I always feel a bit like when I go on YouTube and like watch testimonies, I'm like, God, how come you ain't done that to me?
Right.
Where's my testimony? Why is that so big and flashy?
Yeah.
I'm also need you. I'm down bad, okay?
Yeah, I want my lightning bolt moment. Yeah.
Like, people are like, God paid my rent. I'm like, God, I don't even have any money. Why you not like, what about me?
I know. And so like, I do get a bit jealous sometimes.
I do, like, and I struggle with that, and I feel bad.
Yeah, because I'm like, I should be jealous of someone's testimony.
I should even be celebrating you.
Yeah. Right.
Like I've had moments where so I've recently been made redundant, and I had moments where like I was upset, and then I felt bad for being upset because I was like, wait, I shouldn't be upset. Like I trust in God, I believe in God, I should have faith, like faith of a mustard seed. So it was a very like weird time for me because I was like, I'm upset because I'm human, but then I'm like, I believe in God, so I shouldn't be crying.
Yeah,
I was going through it. I was guilty.
But then like I always hang on to that thing of I feel God would want authenticity, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm annoyed at God, I do like my prayers are like, what is going on?
Literally, sometimes it is literally like, God, what's going on?
Yeah,
what's going on? Big man, do you see me? I'm like Haggai right now. Yeah,
I'm the one waving for help.
I'm the one in the desert. I need the well.
Yeah, and so like, so I think for me, like, I've never had one of those things.
Yeah.
But it's just been like this quiet sense of like just someone walking beside me in those moments. Oh. And it's like, oh, okay, actually for me, that's who Christ is.
Yeah.
Is, like, I always joke, like, I've got such like Jesus is my boyfriend vibes.
Yeah.
Like, but like, you know.
Because he is.
Yeah.
He's my friend. He's my dad. He's my boyfriend.
Maybe that's why Hinge isn't working because I've already got Jesus. Yeah, so that's it really.
I like that. I think more people need to realise that, because I read a quote somewhere and said that God doesn't perform miracles on our time, and he also doesn't perform miracles in big grand gestures. Like there's parts in the Bible where he literally healed was it a woman that like was clinging onto him and she was bleeding,
the fringe of
and
the
he
cloak,
knew already,
yeah.
like that wasn't big.
Yes.
He just literally was like, who touched me? And he knew, but he was like, who touched me? And then he healed her. Some of them are so small but impactful to me.
Literally,
it doesn't need to be just big grand gesture that the whole world need to see. It can just be to be between me and God. It could even be like, oh God, I need to pay for this today, and randomly you just see something in your account, you're like, whoa, well, that was fast. Like sometimes it can be like the littlest things, but it's like, wow, that actually changed my life.
But I think it's like any relationship, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you know, with like your mum, you don't have these huge moments.
Exactly.
It's the fact like she's always there.
Exactly.
She's checking that you're okay. It's, you know,
it's the little things, and I feel like that pedestal of like putting God on such a high pedestal that he's only going to perform big miracles doesn't even make sense. Because of course he will, but at the same time it's like, is that all you're pursuing God for?
Right.
Is that all you want from him to perform miracles? Because if that is, you ain't gonna get there.
He's
like,
not a vending machine.
Literally, he's not a God who's like, okay, God, if I do this, you're gonna like. That's not how he works here.
When you're haggling with God,
you can't. This is not the market. Okay, you can't haggle your way to a miracle. Okay, you just need to do what you can on earth to show that you love God. Again, literally. Are you following the religion or is it a relationship? Because I know for me, I'm serving God on a relationship basis. So even like, for instance, don't commit adultery. I'm not doing that because it says so. I'm doing that because I love God. Why would I want to hurt someone I love? You know, that's how I view my relationship with God. It's like, I love him, so I don't want to disappoint him because he loves me.
Yes.
And he died on so that's how
love
I
your
view.
God, love your neighbour.
Literally.
Yeah.
So that's how I view. That's my relationship. What would you say your relationship with God is like?
Good one. I think it's like that for me, it feels kind of God is like constantly pushing me to be like, not is that all you've got, but kind of like don't get complacent. I think for me, because I'm someone, I very much have my comfort zone. Yeah. And I'm aware God every now and then is like, no. Yeah. Get out there.
Do you feel it? Do you get like a weird like feeling?
Sometimes.
Okay. I feel like I haven't had that yet. Yeah. And I do be thinking, okay, because the big question is, how do I know if God's talking to me? How can I hear God? Right. That's the big question. And even me, I've been like, God, speak to me. And I only feel like he speaks to me when I when I'm like listening to sermons. That's when I'm like, ooh, like it'll click in my head. And I'll be like, ooh, that felt personal. Yes. But then I'm like, is that the only way? Or is it like through people? So, and I want to be a dreamer. Yeah. I want to be that friend that's like, I had a dream about you.
They are the most amazing people.
Yeah, but I don't get that.
God spoke to me in a dream. I'm literally like, well, he didn't for me.
Exactly. So why are you rubbing it like, I want to be like, one day I had a vision. Yeah. I just don't get that. But then
we say that. One of my friends had a mystical vision.
Oh.
Yeah. Saw a vision of Christ. And I was like, you need to tell me everything about this. Yeah. And he told me all about it. But then he said equally afterwards, God felt really distant because when you've had such an intimate moment with God, everything else then feels
not the same. Yeah, nothing like can compete with that feeling. Yeah,
so I think it is careful what you wish for sometimes, isn't it? Yeah.
And I also, because one of my friends is quite, she gets a lot of visions and she says that it can be quite hard for her because a lot of people don't take it well. Yeah. So she said that she doesn't like to always tell people what she gets from God because some people might take it not well, or even for her it's a lot, like it drains her. Yes. So I was like, oh, maybe I don't want visions. Like, let me stick to just getting the revelation from people, because sometimes I speak to people and that's how I'll be like, is that you, God?
Yeah. It's weird when that happens, isn't it?
Yeah. Sometimes you're like, this is not my friend no more. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, this is Jesus. Yeah. He's entered the chat. Yeah. He's entered the chat. Like, this is not my friend no more. So I have another question, which is like, what do you think about like Christian movies? Like, for instance, The Chosen, even like Prince of Egypt, Joseph and the Technicolor Coat, like all those like basically, just big Christian movies. Like, do you think it's a true representation of Christ? Do you not like it? Do you think it's a bit rude in sense? And then also it's like, are the people that are producing it, are you even about Christ? So
that is a good one. I think because I didn't grow up churchy, like I didn't realise Christian like music and films and media was even a thing. Yeah. Until I was in my 20s probably thinking about it. So it kind of passed me by, and I do worry sometimes that is the danger with it, is it's made by Christians for Christians, and it can be a bit
niche.
Yeah. I think I've watched an episode of 2 of The Chosen.
Yeah, I've watched a bit too.
Yeah, like, to be
fair,
but
I've never gotten into it.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
And
I'm trying to get in, but I'm like, I'm not getting in. Yeah. I'm more like, give me that Moses movie by DreamWorks. Like, give me that one. Yeah, give me that one. Prince of Egypt.
Yes, that's it.
I can watch that movie like 100 times a day. But The Chosen, I just can't get it. I don't know what it is. I just don't know why it's not clicking.
Yeah, like, and I kind of get the same with that. But then equally, if it helps people and it helps their faith,
then watch it.
Go for it. Do it. Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't really watch much Christian stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think it's because my whole life is based around it. Sometimes it's nice to have a break.
So what do you watch? Like, what do you allow yourself to watch?
I'm absolutely obsessed at the moment with the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders program. Have you seen it?
I feel like I used to watch it back in the day.
No, it's a new one on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
It's like a behind the scenes it's trash reality.
I feel like
telly.
I've watched something similar to this back on MTV.
Yeah,
like back in the day they used to do that cheerleader thing. Yeah,
MTV. Yeah. Like, just try. I like
trash TV.
You take your brain out and you just watch it.
Like,
and then
right
you go
now
to bed.
I'm watching 90210. When I tell y'all 90210 will have you shook every single episode. Like, you just don't know what you're gonna get.
It is
the writers wanted to work that day. And also the storylines are real. Yeah, they're not glossing over nothing. They're not bleeping no words out here. It is real on that show. But then I also feel like I have like mixed emotions, because I'm like, okay, obviously the eyes, like the devil, his main thing is music, entertainment. So I'm very like, oh, I can't watch this. Like, I even I used to love watching Love Island. Like, that was my trash TV. I was like, give me that ish every day, 9 p.m. You'll see me on ITV. Give me that show. But recently I've come to a realization that I'm actually watching half naked people on my screen. What is that?
It's hard, isn't it? It's hard, because then it also, like, I think it glamorizes certain attitudes towards sex and stuff like that. But also, if you think about, like, you know, the Love Island effect people talk about with girls and fillers and like cosmetic procedures, it's perpetuating beauty standards
that aren't real.
They're not real.
They're not even attainable.
Not real. If you're a teenage girl watching this, Love Island, like, it's not
real.
Yeah.
Literally. Don't feel like you're lesser than because you don't look like them. Yeah, they had to do maybe surgery. They probably weren't eating for how many weeks. Like, don't even try it.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And so I think it's stuff like that. Like, I wish it came with like a warning label or something. Yeah.
And I also I think now, especially because I want to get deeper in my relationship with God, I now will purposely not watch things that will cause me to either want to fornicate or like just be immoral. So it's like, even my music, I've literally switched all my music to gospel.
Really?
But then it's even finding gospel that's still a bit trendy. So like, it's because honestly, not being funny, but why
still want a bop?
Yeah, I still want to be like, not the one that's like preachy. Like, I love the preachy ones, don't get me wrong. But it's like, guys, can we not like shimmy? I want to shimmy when I'm listening to my gospel music. It's not every day like, like, this is not school anymore. Like, you know,
you want something to play in the car, don't you?
So I'm trying to find that like balance between like listening to like gospel but making it still modern, and even like the shows I watch, making sure it's not too heavy on like the sexual acts and more on like just having a good laugh. So I just had to just be like, Love Island, I can't watch you anymore. Like,
thanks.
It's not. And to be fair, I've been watching you for a long. It was starting to get too samey for me.
Yeah. I mean, there's also that, isn't there?
It was just starting to get like, oh, okay, next. Like, come on now.
I know what's gonna happen.
Literally, but I do hear that the Love Island USA. You didn't hear it from me because I ain't watched it, but that one is juicy. Okay, if you want real drama, get your ass to the USA. Okay. So like, my final question for you is: now that you're a priest, is there anything that you miss from the outside world?
I think it's tricky because
I mean, a lot of the time, actually, my life is very similar to other people's. It's just, sorry, can I try that again?
Yeah.
I think people see priests and they think like, oh, what you're not allowed to do and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's more, I just need to know where I draw the lines for myself kind of thing.
Definitely.
I think one thing I do sometimes struggle with is watching my friends in their 20s going out, having fun, stuff like that. And it's not to say like I don't go out and like I don't have fun, but it's more like that sense of abandonment. I can see they're like, I just get to have fun. And
very carefree.
Carefree. Whereas I think always for me in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, well, if someone saw this, what are they going to think? Actually, would I be leading anyone astray?
Yeah.
If because you've got that sense of, okay, well, I am a leader in the Christian community. I do have to be careful. And I think that's what kicked off my original TikTok.
Yeah.
Where I was out, because a lot of people saw that as me being a stumbling block. Which
you're not, by the way. Yeah, girl.
Thank you.
You're not a stumbling block.
Yeah, it is.
You're still human.
But I think it's, and like, I mean, that was wild. Like the things people were presuming that I was doing.
Yeah, but they don't even know you. But that's, the internet's weird.
Yeah, so weird.
So weird.
So I think like that's just the one thing that I'm very aware of as a priest is like I always have to be slightly, not guarded, but quite careful. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like the same way. Like, I'm not a priest, but I always feel like, does this glorify God? Every time I do something, I'm like, does this glorify God? And I'm like, I need to deny my flesh. So it's like, sometimes I want to kiki and go to the club. I'm like, does this glorify God? No. Yeah. And I can't do it. But it's not like I'm not doing it because it doesn't glorify God. It's because I know what I'm like.
And that's, I think that's a big thing,
it's like,
right?
Why would I put myself in the sin if I know what I'm like? Like, I feel like, I don't know what the exact Bible verse is, but I feel like God prefers if you don't know you're sinning and you sin, it's okay. I feel like. I
know what you mean.
But it's like, if you know you're sinning and you know it's bad and you still do the sin, that's when I feel like God's like.
And this is it. I think there's like a difference between like, because no one's perfect, right?
Yeah.
If you accidentally slip up and you're like, oh, sorry, Jesus, didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
That's different than
knowing.
I deliberately put myself in a situation where I was probably going to get tempted, but I did it anyway.
Exactly. Like, especially when he's delivered you out of it. When he's delivered, no, because why do we do this? God has delivered us out of the specific sin that you've been praying and crying about and fasting for. Yeah. You cried and you prayed and you fasted. And you still do the sin after God took you out of it? Nah. You deserve a flogging for that one. You deserve some small, like, God should just strike you down.
But this is the problem. Well, like, us humans, we're so bad at learning, aren't we?
Yeah,
Like,
it takes us so long before we're like, okay, God, I hear you. Like, it took what? Noah, how many tries before he was like, okay, God, I'm going to go to that sea?
Like, we only seem to learn the hard way, don't we?
And it's like
me included on that one. So,
literally, it's so hard. Okay, I said last question, but this is my last question. So what would you say that the diversity in the church is like? Like, is there people of colour as priests? Would you say more people are gravitating to that? Is that something you guys are trying to get more people to do?
Yeah, so this is a huge problem within the Church of England. The Church of England is deeply a racist, ableist, homophobic institution. It is.
I mean, I ain't surprised.
Like,
yeah.
And this is the problem because there's all these efforts from reports being like, we need to diversify, which we do because the kingdom of God is diverse.
Yeah.
And if we as the church don't represent that,
then
we are not of the kingdom.
Yeah.
This is a problem. But I think it's the structures are so deeply built for white men.
And it benefits them.
Yeah. And it's just hard. And so anyone who is not a white man is treated as other. And as soon as you're other, you're suspicious, aren't you?
Yeah.
And it's not even like a conscious thing a lot of the time. So hopefully, I mean, we are getting more diverse bishops, which is always good because you need it from the top down.
Yeah, exactly.
To have effective change. That is happening. Numbers are slowly rising. It's just obviously you want to protect the people coming through.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
We're still having firsts. Like first black bishop or da-da-da, da-da-da. And they shouldn't have to bear all of the weight of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not for Aaron and
it's not for us to be teaching you.
Right.
You should either actively learn or actively ask people questions.
Yeah.
But it's not for me to sit down and be like, okay, so this is why I'm this. This is why I act like this. Like, there's Google. Okay? There's the internet for a reason.
Diverse your feed. Like, and
maybe it does start in schools. Maybe it does start from like teaching the younger generation, okay, you can be a priest and you can be a person of colour at the same time. That doesn't, the two things can coexist.
Literally,
okay? So I feel like definitely like, maybe this is just the suggestion for the church. Like, maybe the outreach and stuff could start at schools or even like the communities and be like, look, have you ever like teach your children like you can be a priest? Like, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, and I think this is a big thing of there's a difference between like this attitude of, oh, we'll build it and they'll come, versus actually deliberately reaching out to the people who are underrepresented in the church and saying, will you please join us? Yeah. Because
some people just genuinely need that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, an invitation makes such a difference, doesn't
literally.
it?
And that's what, at the end of the day, that's what God wants us to do, to bring more souls to him.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Pippa.
No, my pleasure.
I really had a fun time. Guys, I hope you guys really enjoyed this podcast. I really hope you enjoyed this episode and you took a lot away from it. I know I learned a lot. I ain't gonna lie to you. I learned too much even. Like, I'm actually rethinking my life choices right now. Yeah. If you want to follow Pippa on any of her socials, Pippa, do you have any socials you want people to follow you on?
Oh, can I just bump my TikTok, which is Not a Priestess, or if you search Pippa White, it'll come up.
I actually love that name, Not a Priestess. Pippa, I'm going to say you need to make a podcast with that name. Not a Priestess.
There's actually a story behind the name. It's, you will get the exclusive scoop because people do ask.
Okay.
So the reason it's called Not a Priestess is I used to be a barmaid, and people would say, is this your full-time job? Are you like working towards something? I'd be like, I'm going to go into the church. And whenever I say priest, there was a regular who would always go, priestess, across the pub. Wow. And every time I said priest, he'd go, priestess. And it used to drive me insane that he would want to gender what I was going to do.
Literally.
So it's so petty, but when I made that TikTok, I was like, it's going to be Not a Priestess.
I like that. I like that you got your own back, because I hope he sees it and it's like, look, you didn't affect me that much. In fact, I took your name and I used it for good. Yeah. You thought you could play me? Now look.
Yeah.
I love that. So guys, this is the end of the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed and see you in the next one. Bye.